episode 628 of Good Luck High Five.
You're listening to a podcast that's for you if you play Magic the Gathering. Whether you're ready to hit the raceway with Aetherdrift or you're like, no, cars aren't my thing, we're here for you.
I'm one of your hosts, Maria.
And I'm another one of your hosts, Megan.
And I travel on a small flying squirrel with a gilded leash.
Oh, I was going to say I'm all for public transportation.
Oh, well, I mean, as many people as we can get on that squirrel.
Okay, yeah. It's Squirrel Bus?
Squirrel Bus.
All right, let's go.
Yes, indeed. We are talking about the Aetherdrift Prerelease on today's episode. It's coming up this weekend. We're going to have Judge Rob occupying this very chair.
Yes.
He's not here now, not even in ghost form.
We're going to snap our fingers and he's going to appear.
He's going to appear. Yeah.
Through the magic of editing. Not right now.
Not now. We're going to do it
But
later. And he will appear and you'll be like, wow, that jump cut was pretty bad, but I'll take it. That's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Yeah, he's going to give you the lowdown on all of the new mechanics, the returning mechanics, and all of the tricky cards that might stumble you up. Might trip you up and cause you to stumble
you up.
at the pre-release at your local game store this weekend. They're always a favorite episode of our listeners, and we are very excited to bring you one because Aetherdrift has got a lot going on in it, and a lot of people are going to say they are saying that it seems like a very sweet limited format.
Yeah, I'm very excited to try it. And speaking of getting stumbled up, make sure that if you live in a place where it snows, you are clearing your sidewalk to the full width and de-icing it.
Oh yes, that is required by law.
It is required by law. And also, you might have neighbors with limited mobility.
Yeah.
Everyone deserves to use the sidewalk.
And required by human decency.
And required by human decency. Anyways, that was just an aside about getting stumbled up.
Did you, does this have anything to do with the fact that it snowed yesterday, Megan?
It did. I woke up this morning, thank goodness for windows.
Well, yeah.
Because I looked out mine and was
seriously.
like, oh no, it snowed.
It snowed.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have known. In
Minnesota, we have a calendar of like what is going to happen through the time from winter to spring.
Uh-huh.
And there's not just two seasons in Minnesota. There's quite a few that you have to go through to end up getting to spring.
Yeah.
And just a few days ago, we were in the point of the year that I like to call Fool's Spring.
Yes.
After
it's kind of
that,
slightly warm.
It comes second winter.
Yeah.
Because that's where we are now.
I think we're going to have a second. Here's my prediction.
Yeah.
This year, we're going to have a second Fool's Spring.
Yeah, I agree with you.
We've only had
we've had one.
2 to 3 Fool's Springs.
Then comes Spring of Deception. So that's where I think falls in. Then there's Third Winter.
Yes.
Then there's the pollinating. Then there's Mud Season. And then there's actual spring. So that's the order of operations here in Minnesota for
mud
getting
season.
to spring. Yeah, Mud Season is a delight.
That sounds nice.
Because you're like, ooh, we have mud again and not just white fluffy stuff.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Hey, before we get Judge Robin here, we have some people to thank. And first and foremost amongst them are you, our listeners, and especially the patrons of Good Luck High Five.
Thank you so much to everyone who supports us over on patreon.com/GLHF Magic. You make the magic happen.
Yes, literally every time someone becomes a patron, you're like, hey, did they even notice that I became a patron? Do they even care?
Yes.
And the answer is like, absolutely. We look at that email. We're like, look at this person. Look at their name. Look at them.
They're
Thank
great.
you. They're great.
You know, on Cribs, MTV's Cribs, how the celebrities would always, when they get to their bedroom, they'd be like, this is where the magic happens, hee hee hee. And we're saying that when those celebrities walk through their houses, if those celebrities were us, we would point to our email inbox and say, this is where the magic happens.
I was not following that until the very end. But I got on board by then. I was really into by the end, I was very into it.
You are the reason for all of our seasons, and we would love to thank you. The pun shout out, early access to episode releases, cool giveaways, Discord access, etc. Go check it out. There's a whole bunch of stuff over there for you to see on patreon.com/GLHF Magic. Well, Megan, what do you say we get Robin here and get our drift on?
All right. Vroom, vroom.
When I ride my squirrel bus, it goes like this.
That's honestly kind of terrifying. I don't know any more about taking the squirrel bus. Ooh.
It's time to welcome in Judge Rob to help us out with the Aetherdrift pre-release. So I'm about to snap my fingers and he shall appear. Wow, Rob, you're here!
Whoa!
Holy cow!
Wow.
I didn't know I had those
Magic.
magical powers.
Oh,
Unreal.
Well,
incredible.
How did it feel to get snapped through cyberspace? Or real space, I suppose.
well, it was kind of cyberspace. Like, everything was full of hot dishes.
Really?
I mean, I think that's just cyberspace in Minnesota.
Yeah, you're right.
That makes a lot of
Sounds
sense.
delightful, quite honestly. Well, we're ready to start our engines, everyone, for the Aetherdrift pre-release coming up this weekend. Made these little flags.
This is a great flag.
There we go, Rob. There we go. Which I have forced people to wave them on several occasions now. One of those occasions being our Commander Arcade episode featuring Aetherdrift.
Yes, it is already available, so you can go watch some of those cards in action.
Yes, Commander Arcade over at youtube.com/@GLHFCommander. We play with the 2 precons, and then we have 2 fabulous other decks based on 2 other commanders from the set. We have a great time, so go check it out if you're considering playing those precon decks, or if you're looking for other commanders to build around. I played Caradora, who loves mounts and vehicles.
Nice.
Yes, and Tyler played Far Fortune End Boss,
Yeah.
who likes to attack
Who
and
like damage.
likes to deal extra damage to people.
Yeah.
But before we jump into specific cards and mechanics, Rob, you usually kick us off with a PSA.
Yeah. So my PSA is everything kind of sucks.
That's a PSA?
Well, okay.
It's just the truth.
Yeah, it's just the truth. It's been like, I felt stressed out this last week
Oh,
because my wife does a lot of work with nonprofits, and well, it turns out their funding specifically her nonprofit has been blown up, unblown up, reblown up, specifically called out by lunatics and bad people on Twitter, etc., and called illegal. It's fun. So
Great.
It's been stressful. It's a pain. It's not good. We can't solve that on our level, and we know that we can't. And so what we're doing is concentrating on the small things we can control. Because sometimes there's big things you can't control that make your life hard or weird, and you'll stress out and you'll spiral, and I'll get into my own head, and you just do the things that you can control. We've been I know that for our purposes, we've been trying to improve our house, trying to improve ourselves, trying to do things that are better in small scale locally, help out friends, hang out with friends, do good things that we have direct control over, so we feel like we have some level of control over our lives.
Right.
I work in manufacturing. That's blowing up in a different way. My response is, my response at my job level is just get involved with different stuff at my job. I signed up for a CPR course, things that just can make my life better. And it's easy to get inside your own head. It's easy to get stressed out. It's easy to let things blow you up. Or you can just try to do things that are better.
It is easy to let things blow you up.
Yeah.
Every
That's
time
also-
I'm in my kitchen, it's a risk.
Do you have you overclocked your
Maria,
Instant Pot?
that's mildly worrisome.
Yeah.
Have you overclocked your Instant Pot?
It's a pressure vessel. It's actually very dangerous. It's a bomb that you put in your
I
kitchen.
know. That's why I never use mine, because I'm scared of it.
I will say that
I use
I
mine all the
only
time.
use mine as a crock pot because I am also terrified of it.
Oh, I use mine all the time. It's like a crock pot with fast forward. You could make
my God.
you could make beef brisket in an hour.
But at what cost, Rob? At what cost?
You have to pay attention to whether or not you seared stuff on the bottom. That's it's actually very safe. They engineered it very well.
Look, I'm scared of using a soda stream, so
That's fair. That's a big CO2 tank. Well, a little CO2 tank.
Yeah, I had one once that flew off and flew across my room, and I was like, "That's that. I'm done. No, thank you. Don't want to try this mini bomb in my kitchen."
See, I reworked it when I was using one. We bought a full-on CO2 tank from a welding supply company and connected it to this.
Sick.
Because it was the same price as buying a tank
Was
of
it
CO2.
huge?
It's this high off the
Oh
ground.
my God.
It's a full CO2 welding tank.
Okay, how long did that last?
We still have it.
Incredible.
Ruth started using it to provide CO2 to the plants in her fish tanks.
I love this.
That's great.
It's a lot of CO2.
Wow.
It's more than you'll go through.
I did just use for the first time in my kitchen yesterday a butane torch.
Ooh,
Like for creme brulee?
Creme
or
brulee?
for-
Yes, in this case, it was I made s'mores cupcakes,
Ooh.
and I had homemade marshmallow fluff. I now know how to make marshmallow fluff at home, and then
Wow.
I torched it with the butane.
Yeah.
It was sick.
It's so funny that there's none of those cupcakes sitting in front of us right now.
I know.
You know
Actually,
what I mean?
I'm really sorry. I am legitimately. That's on me. I didn't mean to bring you some. To really rub it in, just so you know, I
Yeah.
didn't mean to bring you some.
Okay, great. That's very cool. I was still scared of it though.
Anyways,
I mean, yeah.
Okay. The point is,
Yes.
The point is, you can learn how to use an Instant Pot.
The point
you
is-
can become better at cooking. You can learn how to use a butane torch. You can make your life better, make good food that you enjoy, and have fun with friends. The world could be stressful, but you can control your sphere and do it, and it'll make you feel better. Makes me feel
Great
better,
point.
at least.
yes,
Yes.
making tiny changes even it goes a long,
Yep.
long way for yourself and
Yep.
for the people in your immediate circle and neighborhood.
Yep.
So, Rob, the first thing that we like to start off with in these shows is the returning mechanics for the set.
We'll start with vehicles, actually.
Let's do it. This
yeah.
is like the vehicle.
This is the car set. Yes. And so if we look at something like Midnight Mangler here, it says it's a 3/3, power toughness down the lower right, just like a creature. Cost blue and 1, artifact vehicle. That's not a creature. It says during turns other than yours, this vehicle is an artifact creature, though. So it's a creature, and then it takes that power toughness from the lower right-hand corner. It also has Crew 2, which is tap any number of creatures you control with total power 2 or more. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature until end of turn. And so vehicles are straightforward. You tap some creatures, you crew up the vehicle, it becomes a creature now. They drive the car. They drive the boat, you know? And there's a bunch of vehicles in the set. You can crew at instant speed. So you can crew before you block. You can, in some cases, this is not terribly frequent, you'll crew during the beginning of combat. There's a couple of things that might make that relevant in this set, which is unfortunate.
Ugh, dang it.
Usually you'll crew on your main phase. Like it's almost always right to crew on your main phase if you're going to attack. Because then it's just there for when combat starts. And that's how Arena is going to treat it too. Is really kind of annoying to try to get priority in the beginning of combat on Arena if you don't have a trigger or something. So
So the important thing for
Yeah.
people who might be new to vehicles is that you do technically need to
Yep.
crew your vehicle
Yep.
before you move to combat.
Correct.
Okay.
And it like people might try to get you on technicalities. At the pre-release, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Crew your vehicle whenever you want. People will respond appropriately.
Agree.
The other thing with vehicles is, like I said, they have a set power toughness. If something says they become an artifact creature and doesn't specify the power toughness, they take the power and toughness that they have in the lower right-hand corner. I'll touch on some stuff later. There's a lot of different things that just animate artifacts in this set with no explanation of power and toughness because it's turning it into a creature and assuming it's going to be a vehicle. They also don't stop being vehicles when you crew them. They're still artifacts. They're still subtype vehicle. So if there's something that cares about target vehicle, it will still be able to target it when it is crewed and attacking as a creature because it retains that artifact subtype after it gets animated.
And a vehicle, this is still an artifact, and
Yep.
it's still a game piece that
Yep.
came in. So even if you crew it the turn it comes in, it can attack because it is
Correct.
also affected by
Correct.
summoning sickness.
It's a creature. You haven't controlled it since the start of your turn. So unless it has haste, it can't attack. Usually that isn't. It kind of gives your other creatures fake haste, so it's kind of haste on the other side.
Yeah.
Because to crew vehicles, you're tapping, but you aren't using the tap symbol. And summoning sickness only cares about attacking in the tap symbol.
Right.
And so you can like if you have this Midnight Mangler and you play a 2/2 and you're like, well, I want to crew this vehicle right away, you can. Because your creature can drive that car even though it can't fight.
It can't fight, but it can drive a car.
It's true.
Story of my life.
There's an enchantment in here or there's a vehicle in here that steals an opponent's creature and then says it can't fight.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, interesting.
And because the goal is to drive a car. You play this vehicle and it says as long as you control this vehicle, you take your opponent's creature, it can't fight. Oh, but it can drive cars.
This car is interesting too because it has defender essentially, but it
Yeah, it's always
For
live on your
free.
opponent's turn,
Right.
which is actually a drawback. In some ways, you don't have to crew it to block, but your opponent can hit it with removal spells.
Yeah.
Normally, vehicles dodge removal spells pretty effectively by just not being a creature a lot of the time. This one just gets Wrath of Godded.
Come on, I'm going to use it to block, Rob.
I mean, it's a 3/3 for 2. It's pretty good at blocking.
Yeah.
It's not the best 2-cost blue blocker in the set, which we'll talk about later.
Yes, indeed.
But let's talk about mounts, because those were from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and we get a bunch. This is a better mount set than Outlaws, the mount set, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Seriously, there's so many good mounts in this set. They push things a lot.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's look at Unswerving Sloth here. It is white 3 for a creature sloth mount. It's a 5/5. All mounts are a creature type mount, by the way. Whenever this creature attacks while saddled, it gains indestructible until end of turn and untap all creatures you control. Saddle 4. Tap any number of other creatures you control with total power 4 or more. This mount becomes saddled until end of turn, and saddle only as a sorcery. That sounds a lot like crewing a vehicle.
Sure does.
Yep. You usually want to crew on your main phase. You can only saddle mounts on your main phase. In the same way, you need to count up the total power of things to crew. You can overcrew. You can over saddle. So if you have 10 power worth of creatures, you could tap them all to Unswerving Sloth.
That poor horse is oversaddled, man.
Yep.
It doesn't matter with the sloth, though, because the sloth untap all
It's
creatures
true.
you control.
Saddling basically turns on a second ability. The sloth is always a creature all the time, but it becomes way better at being a creature if you're riding it. It's one of those, it doesn't have to pay as much attention, you know?
Yeah.
You're
Oh,
directing it,
sure.
you're looking around, you have better lines of
Exactly.
vision.
And it's like now I can really focus on my
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
It's like
my
if
job
you're
is running.
ratatouilleing him.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly what riding a horse is.
Yes. It's a
ratatouille.
person
Yes.
ratatouilleing a horse.
That's Ratatouille is asking, what if a horse
Yeah.
was a person?
And-
Ratatouille did not invent ratatouilleing.
Yes.
People invented ratatouilleing.
and
true.
Ratatouille,
And then Ratatouille-
perfected it.
Yeah. Well, and we invented horses that we could ratatouille. Original horses you could not ride.
So Ratatouille
true.
is mounting that one guy in the kitchen.
Alfredo Linguini?
He's
yeah.
saddling him. He's saddling
Okay, yeah,
Linguini.
thank you.
He's saddling Alfredo Linguini.
Yes.
Glad we cleared that up here on
Yep.
the show.
Anyways, and
And-
then Alfredo Linguini becomes a better cook.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
You
But
know?
he was always a cook. He was always a creature. He would always fight. But now,
Wow.
now he fight good.
Now he fight
knows
good.
how to use
Now
an
he
instant
cook
pot
good.
because Ratatouille knows how to use one.
Wow, that's how we should always
Ratatouille would know
explain
how to
this.
use an instant pot.
Yep. So all of these things, you don't saddle on your opponent's turns. You only saddle on your turn on your main phase. You can saddle after combat. Probably don't want to. I mean, it's not inconceivable if you want to tap a bunch of creatures. But you usually saddle on your pre-combat. Your opponent knows something is saddled and it's going to be attacking. And
Right.
it's going to get the saddle trigger. There's 2 one-offs that I wanted to call out. I don't want to go into these in super huge depth. I'm going to start with Exert. One card has Exert, the rare Basri, Tomorrow's Champion. Exert is not Exhaust.
Yes.
They sound really
sound the
similar.
same.
They sound really similar.
They're the same word.
Yeah, they're synonyms in English a lot of the time, but they're not in Magic. They're both special words that do things. Exert means this doesn't untap during your next untap step, but you can exert multiple times over the course of the game. Basri exerts when he uses one of his activated abilities.
Did we read him?
No, I don't know if we need to. He's got a lot of words.
I just want to say for Exert, this is how I think about it. Since what he does, white tap, exert him, you make a 1/1 white cat creature token with lifelink.
Yeah.
He's giving birth to that cat, so he's like, ugh!
I thought he was adopting that cat. I thought he had to fill
Wow.
out paperwork.
I know. I also thought he was just filing some paperwork.
Yeah, like he has to make sure that they're spayed and neutered.
Yeah.
They can't make more cats.
I
right?
guess that is, you do exert yourself when
Yeah.
adopting
So
a new
it's a lot
cat.
of work to
Yeah.
adopt a pet.
But it's also a lot of work to give birth to a cat. You know what I mean?
It's true.
You don't
Baz-
know that.
I don't
Don't
think.
die! Didn't I give birth to my cat, Moxon?
All right, I guess. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I believe
did.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you did.
I didn't give birth to my cat, Lear. I pooped him out.
Why?
Because he's a little turd.
Why are we having this conversation?
You could ask
because
that in
Marie is the one that
every
says
episode.
something zany.
Yeah, that's true.
I believe that
Something
we've
zany.
established that.
Go on, Rob.
So
Okay.
I also wanted to call out Curse Cloth Wrappings. This embalms creatures from your graveyard. It basically, you make a token copy of it that's a white zombie in addition to its other types and has no mana cost. They embalm and entomb were 2 things from Amonkhet block. The full art, or sorry, there's a version of Cursed Cloth Wrappings that does not have the reminder text for Embalm, and I believe that that's kind of silly.
The sparkly one?
Yeah. It just has no reminder text at all. I like that they do versions with no reminder text, but I kind of hate when they show up in booster packs in one-off cards like this, because who remembers what Embalm does? You can open this at a pre-release and not have any idea what it does and have to look it up.
Yeah.
But basically, it lets you cast it from the graveyard as a token. It's about right.
So that's returning mechanics.
Returning stuff.
Returning stuff. What about new stuff,
New
Rob?
stuff. Start your engines. Wave flags. Get going. So start your engines is our new keyword that has a punctuation mark in it and has multiple words.
What's the other one that has a punctuation mark?
For Mirrodin.
Yeah, for Mirrodin.
For Mirrodin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. And so start your engines it changes the rules of the game for you. When you start your engines, if you didn't have any speed before, your speed becomes 1. If you did have speed before, this does nothing. Once you have speed, this doesn't do anything.
Your engines have already been started.
Your engines have been started.
Yes.
Your speed starts at 1. If you didn't have speed, it becomes 1. And then it adds a new triggered ability for you. So starting your engines is a state-based action to set it to 1, and then from then on, during your turn, if an opponent has not lost life and they lose life for the first time on your turn, so the first time some opponent of yours loses life, you increase your speed. It's a triggered ability, and it is independent of whatever started your engines. If you start your engines with a creature and that dies, well, great. That's wonderful. You still have a speed, and it'll still trigger every time you damage an opponent or make them lose life from anything.
Just like a train. Once it get going, it don't stop.
Yep,
You can't stop a train.
But trains do have a maximum speed because they can't take their turns too fast.
That's
which
true.
is the same
True.
thing that you have. You have a maximum speed of 4.
I thought you meant I also can't take turns too fast.
I mean,
which you're not wrong.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can't.
At some point, you just run into the wall.
Minnesota in winter, I definitely had to take a turn at way under speed this
God.
morning. It was very slick when I got up. So I should read this card, shouldn't I?
Let's do it.
Yeah, the Gestalt Thrill Seeker. It is red-black for a creature, Lizard Berserker. It is a 2/3. Start your engines, which is we've already described. And it says, when this creature enters, it deals 1 damage to target opponent, and you gain 1 life. It also has max speed. This creature has Death Touch and Haste. So, as mentioned, starting your engines will give you a speed. Every time, for the first time, an opponent takes damage on your turn, you increase your speed. Max speed is 4. Once you get to 4, your speed is maxed, and all max speed effects are live and will be for the remainder of the game. It doesn't stop. It's also not a counter. You can't proliferate up speed if you somehow get proliferate. It's just a status that you have as your speed is 1, 2, 3, or 4.
But there is the blue shell card in this set.
Yeah, that can reduce speed.
Right.
But they have to be ahead on speed, and it can't reduce it beneath 1.
Right. So, but you could strip somebody of max speed.
But only if they're ahead of you. If you're tied, the blue shell doesn't get them.
Okay. Right.
I mean, classic blue shell.
Yeah. Only if they have more speed.
Yeah,
than
they have to have the most speed out of all players.
So just to double check, Rob.
Yep.
This does say this.
Yes.
It starts your speed at 1. This creature will then also increase your speed.
Correct.
Because they've lost life.
Correct. This is why I wanted Gestalt Thrill Seeker, because people won't believe you that Gestalt Thrill Seeker basically sets your speed to 2 when it comes out.
Nice.
You get that immediately. As soon as you get speed, it turns on the ability to damage your opponent to make your opponent lose life in order to move your speed up.
And this only happens once, for instance, in a game of Commander. If you hit like 3 people with it, you're not going to go up to 4.
Right, exactly. You'll increase an opponent lost life. You get the 1 trigger that increases your speed up, and then you won't get that trigger again. And the trigger stops happening once you get to max speed. Max speed will do a variety of things. It's wild what this causes across a bunch of different cards. Some become bigger, some become creatures, some gain the ability to cycle out of your graveyard. Like this guy is Death Touch and Haste, which early in the game, the Thrill Seeker, on turn 2 puts you at 2 speed. And then later in the game is just what you gonna do? Block me?
Yeah. This guy would be great in a
Yep.
speed deck.
Yeah, he is. He wants you to go fast, and he gets you there pretty fast. The next new thing, exhausting. I know that we all get
You're right.
exhausted.
The next new thing
Yeah.
is always exhausting.
I'm exhausted. We're all exhausted.
by the next new thing.
I'm always exhausted by the next new thing. Let's look at Afterburner Expert. He has exhaust. He's green and 2 for a creature, Goblin Artificer. He has a 4/2. Pretty good stats.
His name is Speed Bump, by the way, which we've learned in the flavor text.
Yes.
Just kind of cute.
They had to name somebody Speed Bump,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
and a goblin that gets killed a lot, which this guy does, definitely fills
Yes.
in. So exhaust, his exhaust ability is green 2 to put 2+1/+1 counters on this creature. And in the reminder text, it says activate each exhaust ability only once. And it says whenever you activate an exhaust ability, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. He is pretty cool. If other people get sleepy, well, Afterburner Expert's there for you. Exhaust abilities are activate once only abilities. You activate for this particular object, the exhaust ability that comes from this object can only be activated once. If something else copies abilities, then it is possible to, like, basically have the other thing gain the exhaust ability and then get to use it fresh because it's that object's instance of that exhaust ability.
Right.
And each exhaust ability is separate. There's a loot that has 3 different exhaust abilities. Each one of those is distinct. You can activate each ability of loot once because he has 3 different exhausts. And exhaust abilities are all activated abilities, and they all follow the cost : effect. A couple of them are mana abilities that you can only use once. That's fine. This is honestly one of the most straightforward and easy mechanics they've printed in a long time. And the trick is a lot of the exhaust cards at lower rarities put a counter on themselves. I think it might be all of them. I didn't check on all of them. But like basically, if you're a common or an uncommon, you'll be like Afterburner Expert here, which puts 2 counters on itself when you exhaust it. That makes it pretty easy to remember that you exhausted this card. Loot doesn't, but loot's also kind of a pain to track anyways because you have to track 3 different once pers. But they're all powerful enough. One of them is like add 3 mana.
Draw 3 cards.
Yeah, draw 3 cards. And so like it's like
You'll probably remember.
you'll remember. Hey, did that loot draw you 3 cards? Yes, it did.
Your opponent will definitely remember.
Your opponent will remember when
like,
you do
yeah.
that. And so you can generally in limited track this pretty easily by whether or not counters got onto that thing.
So it's monstrosity. Is that what I'm hearing from you?
For common and uncommon, it's monstrosity. For higher rarity stuff, it's a little weird because it's not, like I said, with loot, like blue tap, draw 3 cards is not monstrosity. That's just a different ability, right? That's just.
We'll get into the
Yeah.
weird stuff
We'll
later.
get into weird stuff later. So they have this return of uncommon vanilla legends. These are both returning and they're new to the set. They haven't really done this a lot where they do vanilla legends. The only thing on these cards is a legendary type line. So Kalorna, Coral Tyrant. I know you talked about this last week, but I want to talk about her again. She is a blue and 1 for a legendary creature octopus, 0/8. I think that they wanted to print vanilla cards in sets and they decided this is the way to do it, and I'm fine with it. They are all tyrants. The 5 of them are all uncommons. They all have tyrant in the name.
Interesting.
So it's pretty easy to get clued into all of them. I don't know why they're not all dinosaurs. It confuses me. Like one's a crocodile and then 2 of them are dinosaurs.
Yeah, oh, really?
Yep. And so like the green and red ones are both dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
And but Kalorna here is just a legendary octopus. She's a 0/8. She is the blockiest of blockers, which is pretty cool.
Love her.
The reason that I want to call this out and to make people pay attention is they designed these assuming that they were legendary, and they really lean on the legendary type line because you can't have 2 Kalornas. That would be brutal. Can you imagine trying to attack through 2 0/8s that your opponent paid
That's
for 2 mana
true.
each?
Yeah.
Like this is pretty close to a removal spell. A lot of the time, I think. And so like these kind of look derpy, but I think that they're all pretty good above rate cards. And you're going to see them a bunch, and you just have to be aware that the second one is probably dead in your hand. Permanent continuous effects. This does not come up that much. So it's new to the set. They do them every once in a while, but like I wanted to call them out. So like Marshall's Path Cruiser here is a 3 mana artifact vehicle. It's a 6/5. It says when this vehicle enters, search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Fine. It has Exhaust for Wooburg for white, blue, black, red, green. This vehicle becomes an artifact creature. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on it. And it reminds you activate each exhaust ability only once, and it's going to be really clear. This doesn't have a duration. This is just a creature forever. We stumbled into this accidentally with Santa's Sleigh. We did this in a recent Commander arcade.
Yeah.
Turns out we were just thinking ahead about these. There are a bunch of these. You have to look at the duration for things animating into artifacts, especially. There's a lot of permanently becomes an artifact creature kinds of vehicles. This also is crew 5. So this doesn't just only get crewed by itself. You can also crew 5 this thing. But like at Wooburg, it's going to become pretty huge. It becomes a permanent 8/7. And it's there forever. And a lot of the exhaust abilities like this are instant speed.
Yeah.
Like this is not activated as a sorcery. This is on your opponent's turn when they try to attack you. Get them.
Yeah, you got to be careful about that.
Yep. And so my suggestion is look at the timing and look at the duration on a lot of these effects, because there are a bunch of permanently animating artifacts. This permanently becomes an artifact creature. It doesn't say permanently. It doesn't even remind you about it. It just needs you to realize that it doesn't say until end of turn. Because if it said until end of turn, this would probably still be fine. You'd probably still surprise your opponent with it, but it wouldn't be as good. Like this, it's just like your turn, make this giant
Man,
block,
if
go
I'm
to my
paying
turn,
Wooburg
attack.
for this better last forever.
I don't think that's like if you're using it as a combat trick, I think that's kind of okay in a lot of limited formats, honestly. And it sets itself up. It finds you your other land type.
Disagree.
I mean, what do you think? Would you like?
Yeah,
I wouldn't
be
play
the
this all
judge
the
here,
time.
Megan.
I mean, no, Wooburg is a lot. Wooburg is a big cost.
It is a big cost.
That's expensive.
That is expensive.
That's hard to,
Yeah, it's hard to do.
But I would probably play this I would play this like I think like you said like a medium amount of the time.
Yeah, I play it a lot more because that permanent is really good now. But,
yes.
I would play it sometimes.
And I play it sometimes also because I do like the base search your library for a basic, reveal it and put it into your hand. Like that's a good effect.
Yeah, it sets itself up like I was saying because it finds your off color to turn it on.
Yeah,
Like,
even if you're not Wooburging this, it might be totally serviceable for your deck if you're looking to get
crew
something to
5
get
is a
your
lot
mana.
of crew though. Like that's my biggest problem. Like
That is a big
this
crew.
card is just fine. I just picked it because it was an easy to explain permanent one. And you'll see this on a bunch of different cards that are out there.
I just want to call out that the name Marshall's Path Cruiser made me think that this card would be a BMW, but instead that's a Marshall Sutcliffe joke for you super fans out there.
Maybe he'll get it altered to
to look like this.
To look like
It could be.
to look like his car. Yep.
Thank you so much to our sponsor, Card Kingdom. CardKingdom.com/GLHF is the best place to go for all of your Magic needs.
Yes, if you would like to pre-order Aetherdrift, you can do so now. They ship it out to you on the day that it's released, which is February 14th. So it'll hit the mail on that very day. And if you're we're in the future now, so you can't do this, but you could have in the past. And for future sets, you can do it for the future. If you place your orders early enough, they ship it to you a week early.
What?
So
What?
So for instance, on their website right now, if you would place an order by midnight on the 3rd, it would ship to you on the 7th. So that's pretty cool.
Wow.
Like you're going to get it before it's actually released.
That is pretty sick, you guys.
That's sealed only, by the way.
Wow.
But still, like getting
That's
your box
amazing. Yes.
like before it's officially available to be bought, that's pretty cool.
And if you love some of the alternate arts that have come out recently, like the movie posters in Innistrad Remastered, they are a great place to go and get your excellent one-of-a-kind singles.
Yes, you can pre-order singles as well on cardkingdom.com/GLHF. Your order will be shipped to you in one package, so you don't have to wait for multiple of them to show up at your address or have some get lost in the mail. They're a terrific partner for us and have been for years, and we love them. cardkingdom.com/GLHF. We also love Dragon Shield on this show. Dragon Shield is very cool that we use all of their sleeves on Commander Arcade, and none others shall grace our table.
Nay, they shan't.
They shan't.
because Dragon Shield is just so great. We love their sleeves. We love all of the options. They have incredible colors. They have great unique art. They're always have like that textured matte back.
Oh, so
like they're
nice.
really nice to shuffle. They're the exact right amount of friction so that they're not flying all over the place.
That's a good
but
point.
also they're easy to shuffle.
Yeah, and if you want to customize your sleeves, you can. You can put any art on them that you want. If you want to give them to your friend or buy them for yourself for a special occasion, they'll make them
Put
for
your
you.
own face on a sleeve.
Seriously,
Dragon Shield.
you can do it on Dragon Shield's website, and they're great. They're going to be at MagicCon Chicago if you want to go check out their booth.
Always just go say hi to them and check out whatever they've got at their booth that time around, because
Yeah.
they also usually have some con specials.
We're going to be stopping by their booth and saying
Yes,
hi.
we
so,
are.
I mean, you should too. Check them out. And if you want to buy anything, please use the link underneath this video on YouTube or in the show notes and use code GLHF at checkout to save yourself 5% off. Now we're going to move on to individual cards.
Yeah. So as mentioned, the mechanics aren't that weird in this set. There's a bunch of individual cards with a little bit of oddness on them.
Just how we like them.
Yeah. This is actually kind of how I like Magic sets. But Burner Rocket is red and 1 for an artifact vehicle. It's a 3/1. It has flash. And when this vehicle enters, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. And it has crew 1. So what you might think with Burner Rocket is your opponent attacks you with a 5 toughness creature, you cast Burner Rocket, you crew it, and have it give itself +2/+0. You can't do that. When it enters, it targets a creature. It's not a creature yet. You can't pick it as a target.
Wild.
And so you can't even respond to that trigger because you pick the target with the trigger going on the stack, and you don't get priority until after it goes in the stack. So it could boost some other creature. It can't boost itself with that trigger.
A burner rocket can't burn itself.
Yes.
So true.
Yep, that's something that we learned, something you've learned. Collision Course. Collision Course is white and 1 for a sorcery. You choose one. Either it deals X damage to target creature, where X is the number of permanents you control that are creatures and or vehicles, or destroy target artifact. This calculates damage on resolution. So if your opponent responds and kills your thing, the X is changed based on the resolution, and you're already too late. You've already picked that mode. You've picked a target. So you're locked in. Instant speed removal can make this worse. It's also a sorcery. I think this is kind of medium. It might be much better because destroy target artifact's probably really good in this set, though. Guide Light Optimizer. It's blue and 1 for an artifact creature robot, which I'm happy to see those coming back. It's also adorable. It's a 2/1. It taps to add blue, and it says spend this mana only to cast an artifact spell or activate an ability. That's not activate an ability of an artifact. It's activate any ability. I know that the first time I read this, I was like, wow, this what does this do? Like cycles my artifacts? No. It cycles anything. It activates any ability.
It activates those exhausts.
Yeah, it activates all the exhausts that you have in this set. It's pretty good. So it doesn't just tie into artifact activated abilities. If you remember, like Moonsnare Prototype, or what was it? There was one around there that was used this to activate only artifact abilities. Moonsnare Prototype couldn't be activated by activate only abilities of artifacts. The Optimizer doesn't behave like that.
Good robot.
Yeah, good robot. Run Over. Run Over is green and 1 for an instant. This spell costs 1 less to cast if it targets a mount or vehicle you control. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls.
Jeez.
It's real good. It's
one
an instant
green?
single
Look at
green.
this big ol' ram, too.
He
That's
looks
like just
cool.
hitting this car. He's cool.
And he was probably being ratatouille'd by that rider on his
Yeah,
back
he's
directly into this
absolutely-
car.
yes.
He's absolutely being ratatouille.
We have established that you are tooying when you
Yep.
mount.
Yeah.
So your opponent doesn't get to make any choice. Like, this is going to cost less to target a mount or vehicle, and your opponent doesn't get to make any choices about that. They're stuck. The other thing is it targets a creature, so you have to crew your vehicle first. So you might like telegraph to your opponent. They're like, "Why is he crewing a vehicle on my end step?" Well, I'm going to
That
run you
vehicle
over.
about to run you over.
Yeah, the vehicle's about to run you over. So you do telegraph it a little bit. You're going to want to crew your vehicle first, which is relevant to your life. Because if you try to cast this and your vehicle hasn't been crewed yet, it's not a creature yet.
I just realized that Ratatouille, like he's a rat, and he's doing he's ratatouilleing. But he's a rat. And do you think when they made this movie, they're like, ooh, this pun is too good? we have to make this film where a rat is a chef.
Yes.
And makes ratatouille.
Yes,
Yeah, that's almost
absolutely. I
certainly-
think that's how that film came to be.
Yeah, they probably said Ratatouille, what if it was made by rats? And then said, well, that sounds like a Disney movie.
Our work
Yeah.
here is
They're
done.
like, okay,
Yeah.
good day at the office,
Script
everybody.
wrote itself.
The other
you all
main
tomorrow.
character, the other main character is named Alfredo Linguini. Do you think that this is a humongous depth of originality?
No, pretty straightforward.
My
Every
question
choice
is,
straight down the middle.
if you get ratatouille'd by like a cat, are you being catatouille'd or are you
Yes.
still being ratatouille'd?
I mean,
I'd say I get catatouille'd every day. My cat, or he climbs up on my shoulders
Yeah.
and rides around when I come home until I feed her.
Oh, I love that.
And so,
if you have a cat in your home, you
You're
are
being
being
catatouille'd.
catatouille'd.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even if you don't know it, your
You
cat
are.
is just being very subtle about its
Yes.
catatouille.
Yes. And it helps that it rhymes, but you can be dogatouille'd as well. Or like, whatever is
Yeah.
controlling you,
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
being touille'd in a certain way.
like guinea-touille'd for guinea pigs.
Yeah, guinea-touille'd. Yeah, hamster-touille'd.
Yeah.
All right.
I just like the suffix of being touille'd if
Yeah.
you're being controlled by
Yeah,
something.
that's
And I
now
just
the-
want
Yeah.
people
Yep.
to go out into the world and use that. Thank you.
Maybe that should be templating. If this was touille'd by a rat.
Yeah,
And
once
you-
we get
Ratatouille.
that Disney
Well,
crossover.
just that whole this thing mounts things and crews things as if it had 2 more power. This touille's as if it had 2 more power.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right?
this touille's as if it had 2 more power.
Yeah.
Perfect wording.
and
Yep.
it's like spelled like just nuts because it's French, and you're just like, how am I supposed to say
Yeah, there's
this?
so many vowels.
Flood the engine.
Flood the Engine. Flood the Engine is blue and 2 for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature or vehicle. When this aura enters, tap enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent loses all abilities and doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. So this is going to do some weird things. So it enchants a creature or vehicle, it removes abilities. If an ability sets the power and toughness of something that got removed, but it already did its power toughness setting gets wiped out. Type changing does not. So if something changes the type of a thing, that doesn't get wiped out. So when we looked at the Midnight Mangler up here, you would think that Midnight Mangler, if you removed its abilities to flood the engine, would not be a creature on your opponent's turn. It will be a creature on your opponent's turn
Weird.
because this is a dumb common plus uncommon interaction in the same set. Because you want type changing to apply before ability adding and removing, so that way, like Merfolk gain Island Walk. If you change something into a Merfolk, it would get Island Walk. So you always apply type changing stuff before you apply ability adding and removing. So flood the engine if something is type changing will just, that ability is fine. It'll apply anyways, even though it got removed. If something has a variable power and toughness based on an ability, that gets wiped out. So if it's a star, like there's a star 5 in the set based on your lands, that will be a 0/5. Even though it's a vehicle, so it's probably not unless you permanently animated it somehow.
Well, as long as it's tapped, all right.
Yeah. I don't know why they printed this card at common. Like, auras that remove abilities at common make me unhappy. They're just strange. They don't do what you expect. Crash and Burn. It's red and 3 for an instant. It says choose 1, destroy target vehicle, or Crash and Burn deals 6 damage to target creature or planeswalker. And why did I put this in here?
Seems straightforward, Rob.
This
is
one
very
does seem.
Oh, sorry.
pretty
I wanted to mention them crewing does not dodge this because the thing is still a vehicle after they crew.
Yes.
So if you Crash and Burn targeting a vehicle and they crew in response, it's still a vehicle.
Still vehicle.
So that was what I wanted to mention, was that destroy target vehicle at instant speed, they can't crew to dodge it because animating it doesn't stop it from being a vehicle.
Right.
Great.
Yep. Adrenaline Jockey. Adrenaline Jockey is red and 2 for a creature Minotaur pilot. It's a 3/3. Whenever a player casts a spell, if it's not their turn, this creature deals 4 damage to them. And whenever you activate an exhaust ability, put a +1/+1 counter on this creature.
Did you put this in here because I'm going to play this in every deck against Megan on Commander K?
I think so. And also it applies to you, which is why I wanted to call this out. Whenever any player casts a spell, if it's not their turn.
Yes.
The Adrenaline Jockey wants you to play stuff on your own turn. And so you play the Adrenaline Jockey, and then you pass it to your opponent's turn, and you counter their spell. You will take 4 damage. Adrenaline Jockey is symmetrical.
You're imagining that I'm remembering to counter a spell, though, when I have a counter spell in hand, Rob.
Let me tell
It's a
you
big leap.
that having recently played a game where Maria got to her untap step and said, "Oh, I was going to counter something, but I forgot."
Yeah.
Maybe this guy will teach you. Maybe he'll be like, "Is it worth it?" And that'll
Yeah.
trigger it. It'll force you to think about whether or not
Absolutely.
you
I
should.
mean,
something.
unreal. 3/3 for 3 with these
Yeah, 3/3 for 3.
abilities.
Those are 2 pretty.
Yeah.
Like the second ability, I feel like is kind of flavor text. Like in limited, it's probably pretty good. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
right.
I think that the first ability is for constructed, and the second ability is for limited.
Yeah.
Because
Truth.
yeah, Broadside Barrage. It is red, blue, 1 for an instant. It deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker, and says draw a card, then discard a card. Card's great. If their thing isn't there and this fails to resolve, say they sacrifice it, because there's like a guy that sacrifices artifacts or in the set, you don't get to do the looting half because it fails to resolve.
Sad.
Yep. So you have to be, your opponent can get you and stop you from getting your free loot. Carrion Cruiser. Carrion Cruiser is a cool motorcycle. It is black and 2 for an artifact vehicle. It is a 3/2. When this vehicle enters, mill 2 cards. Then return a creature or vehicle card from your graveyard to your hand. It is crew of 1. And it reminds you what milling is, to mill 2 cards with the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Eventually, that'll stop happening. The deal with Carrion Cruiser is it doesn't target. So you mill the things and then you pick something. If your opponent lets this triggered ability resolve, they don't get to exile stuff in response. They don't get to interact. You'll mill 2 cards. You'll return something, and they're stuck with whatever you're going to return back from it.
This card reminds me of a movie I watched recently that I want to give a recommendation about.
Okay.
Which, have you ever seen the movie Sorcerer?
No.
Judge Rob, Megan?
From like
1977.
77? Okay.
So it came out and failed miserably at the box office for a reason. Another tiny little indie film came out the same weekend. We know that film was Star Wars. Sorcerer was opposite Star Wars, so it didn't do well. And also the name is bad. The name should not. It has nothing to do with fantasy or whatever. It's a bunch of people who are escaping the U.S. because of the crimes or other countries crimes they've done and going to the jungle. And then they get hired to do this job where they have to transport dynamite, which is separated. So it's very dangerous because if anything shakes in it, it's going to explode. And they have to transport it 200 miles in these giant vehicles across.
I know about this
jungle.
movie. I've seen this movie.
Have you really?
Yes. And you know what? I forgot that I had seen it when you said the name Sorcerer.
Right, because it's a bad
the name
name.
is so bad
It's
and
just
it's not at all
terrible.
descriptive. Like
No.
it's like so undescriptive, but I've seen that movie.
Yes. Oh my God, I loved it. It is so good. It takes about an hour and a half to get to the operating premise of the film, but it's like the tensest, like most interestingly, like you're like, how on earth did they shoot this? Because they've got enormous trucks in the middle of the jungle and they're like going across like rope bridges. It's fascinating. I looked up how they shot that scene. It's just incredible.
I will put that on my list. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, it's really great.
I have logistical concerns. TNT is not that hard to reconstitute. Like, couldn't they have just done that?
Look, I don't know.
Or are they on a time frame?
I'm not an expert
don't know.
on that,
Yeah.
Rob. So you're gonna have to talk
you just
to
mix
them.
it with sand. That's Nobel won. Nobel got a lot of money because he
Maybe
he
the
figured
entire
out
Maybe
this
they
process.
had no sand.
No,
I mean,
they
that's possible.
They do
You need
pack
just
it in
like-
sand, so they did have
never
a lot
mind.
of
They
sand.
had a lot of sand.
Okay.
Well,
Anyway.
I thought that for sure, Maria, you were going to talk about Maximum Overdrive.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's lots of car action movies we could get into, but that was one I just thought was so unique, and I had never heard of it before, and saw it, and it was such a delight.
I love movies that have like this tight, weird like filming like that.
Oh, you will be like, your hands will be sweating watching this movie. It is incredible.
Yeah, my favorite horror movie is Alien, the
Sure.
original one,
Yeah.
because it's a
great.
masterpiece. But that's again filmography,
And
where they
also,
just-
it's about saving a cat. The
Yes.
most important thing that you could do in
So
that
true.
situation.
that is definitely the last
Jonesy.
3 scenes of that movie. Haunted Hell Ride.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah. This is my car. Skulk. car.
This car is sick.
Skull car with a little clown on it. What is
What
the
is
thing?
that?
It's like a spooky bobblehead. Right? There's the different little
yeah. What is- what
bobbleheads.
Is that a
Let's
scarecrow?
It looks like a little guy. He's just a little guy.
He's a spooky little guy.
Wizards, who is this guy on the front of this car? He looks he's like if you had a ship, that's where you put the mermaid lady.
Yeah. Well, the blue-black faction is the Scarecrow's faction, right? There's a bunch of like Scarecrow Wicker things in this.
Oh.
Yeah.
So maybe this is a tiny Wicker dude?
I don't know.
I want there to be a card called Tiny Wicker Dude.
I mean,
I want this to be a little mini I can own.
Yeah.
Vroom vroom.
Okay. The
so,
card.
Sorry.
Meanwhile, Haunted Hell Ride, blue-black 1 for an artifact vehicle. It's a 3/3. It says whenever you attack, target creature you control gets +1/+0 and gains Death Touch until end of turn. Untap it. Crew 1. This isn't when you attack with Haunted Hell Ride. This is when you attack.
Yes.
This is
Sick.
incredible.
I love
it. Like you play Haunted Hell Ride and attack with some other random idiot that is +1/+0 in Death Touch, and you untap
And
it,
you
so you get
untap
to
it.
block with that thing as well.
Wowza.
Nice. Really nice.
And so yeah, this is I don't know why this is a really pushed uncommon. This shouts play me all the time.
Interesting.
Rise from the Wreck is green and 2 for a sorcery, and this is the wordiest word maze of the set, I think.
Ooh, I love a word maze. Let's
Return
go.
up to 1 target creature card, up to 1 target mount card, up to 1 target vehicle card, and up to 1 target creature card with no abilities from your graveyard to your hand.
Wait, do they all have to have no abilities?
No, just that last creature card has to have no abilities. Also, it'd be really tough to have a
Yeah.
vehicle or a mount with no abilities. It's not impossible.
I guess it's technically not.
It's a mount,
not-
but you cannot saddle it.
Yeah, well, I mean, changelings.
This horse do not want to be two-lead.
So yeah, Rise from the Wreck has up to 4 targets. You get to pick a regular plain old creature. It can have abilities. You get to pick. You can pick a mount if you want. You can pick a vehicle if you want, and you can pick one of the creatures with no abilities in the set if you want. Pretty cool.
If you have all 4 of those,
If you have all 4 of those, you probably
you
win
get
the
a
game.
medal.
Like you're probably just like draw 4ing 4 permanents against your opponent. This is almost certainly never going to draw for you. There's a lot of self-milling green black, but it's still kind of tough to hit all 4 line up. Mostly because like the vanilla green and black creatures are, I think, pretty high quality, and some other people will take them.
Hey man, if you get 2, you're feeling pretty
Yeah,
good.
if you get 2, you're
Yeah.
doing pretty well. 3 is actually, I think, the goal. Like double Raise Dead is probably a 2-mana spell in a lot of sets nowadays.
Yeah.
Macabre Waltz, like from forever ago, but like there's that one that Rise from the Tides and whatever that returns 2 pirates. So like conditional return 2s are pretty good. But this can be a return 4, but you have to parse out that it's 4 distinct things, and each one is up to 1 target. Roadside Blowout. Blue and 2 for a sorcery. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a permanent with mana value 1. Return target creature or vehicle an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Draw a card. That is exactly 1. That is not 0. Tokens will not get the discount on Roadside Blowout unless they're copies of things with mana value 1. So this is, I don't think that this will actually get discounted that frequently. Like, this just costs 3 mana almost all the time.
Yeah, and who cares if it's cost 1?
Well, if it cost, Repulse, I guess Repulse is an instant and this is a sorcery. So
Try and make me care about something that costs 1 challenge.
there's some reasonably good 1-cost creatures in this set, but Rover Blades.
Oh, I see what they did there.
Yeah, 3 mana. It is artifact, equipment, vehicle. It is a 2/2. It has double strike. It says equipped creature has double strike. Equip 4, crew 2.
Weird.
They finally made Unicycle into a card. Unicycle is something from one of the mystery booster like playtest cards. And there's a reason why it was pushed out to playtest card world, because this is very strange. It doesn't necessarily behave the way that you think.
Unicycle was a 3/1 for 2 first strike haste. Equipped creature has first strike and haste.
Yep, and it had
Equip 1, crew 1. Yeah.
Yep. And so the thing with Rover Blades is you can spend 4 mana to equip this to a thing, then you can crew it and it will fall off because creatures can't be attached to things. So if you equip it, it kind of isn't a vehicle anymore, except if you really need it to be. And then you can make it a vehicle and surprise your opponent. It's also not a very good vehicle. Like, A 2/2 crew 2 for 3 with double strike is kind of medium,
Yeah.
but it's pretty flexible. Equip 4 is also a lot. Like every mode on this is kind of okay, which probably means it's better than I think. But like you can activate the equip ability even if it's animated as a creature and then it doesn't do anything. It's not great. But yeah, if you have this equipped in crew it falls off.
Bizarre.
Be aware that like if you pick up your rollerblades aren't on your feet anymore.
That's so true, man.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, really makes
That's
you
really,
think.
really deep.
We're all learning things about rollerblades today. You can't rollerblade on your hands.
Hey, you want to know something else? Invented in Minnesota.
Whoa. Sick.
Yeah, because they're fake ice skates so that you could skate in the summer.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Minnesotans are such weirdos.
You have lived here for
Look at, she's
10 plus years.
13 years?
10 plus years.
13
Yep.
years?
Something
What
like
do you
that, man.
consider yourself?
Wow. A person.
I didn't ever actually think about this, you know?
First and foremost. Wow, that's really interesting. Great question. I think identify as a Texan because that's just something it don't go away.
Yeah.
You know, that's something it don't.
At the end of turn, you don't uncrew
it never
from becoming
go
a
away.
Texan.
Do you sing back when somebody says the stars at night are big and
Oh,
bright?
yeah, deep
you
in the heart of
yeah,
Texas.
Yeah. Oh, yep.
You
And then you
know?
do the claps.
Oh gosh. Okay, we can't get into it. We can't do it. I also know exactly how creepy like the eyes of Texas are upon you, but I can sing a lot of
Yep.
it. So you know.
Yep.
Anyways, but I'm pretty Minnesotan also these days.
Are
So
you
that's
angry that
not-
Texas stole our hockey team?
What?
It's a long time ago.
Yeah, the North Stars.
I
We
did
had-
not know that, but that
the
makes
Dallas
a lot
Now
of
they're
sense.
the-
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Dallas
the
Stars came from Minnesota. We
Well,
made a
let me
hockey
tell
team and
you-
then they stole it.
Hockey matters so little in Texas that I
Right.
didn't know that there was a Texas hockey team anywhere in the entire state.
Yeah, the Dallas Stars.
That sucks for them.
I mean, I think the North Stars was a sick team name, and
That is
I
a
was
sick team
mad
name.
about it.
Yeah,
I had a
and
North
I'm
Star
mad
jersey.
that we can't have North Stars as a
I
team.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
legit.
And now we're
okay,
the
that is
Wild.
upsetting.
That team name is way worse than North
It is.
Stars. Just
That's-
saying.
But
Yep.
also, you can just be a fan of the Frost instead.
Frost, also
And their
worse
Their
than the
color
North
is great.
Stars.
Their team
Yep.
name is great.
Yep.
You know they're great. Okay. Anyways, I'm Texan at the end of it. Like, if you press me, I'm Texan. But
Fair. Fair. So the question is, do I have an ancient vendetta against Texas?
and the answer I think we found
Yeah,
was
we
yes.
Yeah,
found
it's-
out
yes.
it's yes.
The
Yeah,
answer
so
was
Ancient
yes.
Vendetta is black and 3 for a sorcery. Choose a card name. Search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. Then that player shuffles. So when you read this, you're like, that's weird. Usually you search for any number. You only search for up to 4 because you may name basic lands with this card.
I just gasped, Rob.
Yep. So it's any card name. Doesn't restrict you away from basic lands.
Wow. You can just be like, all right, mountains, get them
Yeah,
out of
exactly.
there.
Wow. What if your opponent was splashing for something,
Yep.
for like a few things, and you're like,
Yeah, no,
Island.
decline. Turn 4. I want to take your mountains.
that's
Yep,
so
exactly
funny.
Wow. All right.
Probably don't play this card though, people. Okay.
In limited.
In limited.
Well, okay. I would side it in if my opponent had an unbeatable 5-cost bomb.
That's fair.
Yeah, like if my opponent had a bomb that I was like, I can't interact with this card.
If you I don't know. If you absolutely are going
Right.
to lose to
If
it.
I had to, well,
But
and it's
also, unlike a Thoughtseize or something like that, this doesn't care if it's
Right,
already in their
right.
hand.
Yeah.
like
Right.
you can go
You can still
wherever
get
it is.
right,
you
exactly,
Get it.
exactly. I'm like, I definitely can't beat
Yeah.
your 5/5 flyer with protection from my deck or whatever. Like, sure.
Man, I
gonna
hate that
Ancient Vendetta-
card.
Yeah.
Protection
it's
from your
rough, it's a
opponent's
beating.
deck.
Yeah, have you ever like lost to a Baneslayer Angel because your only flyers were demons and been like, wow, okay, great,
Yeah,
good talk.
that's-
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It
And so-
doesn't happen a lot, quite
It
honestly.
doesn't happen a lot.
That there's something you literally can't beat. But
that you literally can't beat.
sometimes-
But occasionally it'll come up and you'll be like, yeah, we're just decline.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I won't bring this in much, but there are universes where I will.
Yeah,
bring
I'm just
this in.
saying that because this is the kind of card where a newer
Yeah.
player might be like, ooh, this kills something.
Yeah, this like stops them from having it, and the only time that you ever want to stop them from having it is if you can't beat it once it resolves.
Right.
Which does come up every once in a while, so you got to be aware, but also doesn't come up that much. Fang Guardian. Fang Guardian is green and 3 for a creature ape druid. 4/2. Flash. When this creature enters, another target creature or vehicle you control gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So, unlike our friend the burner rocket, this can target unanimated vehicles. That +2/+2 will hang out, And you can crew that vehicle, some maybe with Fang Guardian, and the +2/+2 will apply to it. So you can flash in Fang Guardian when you have no creatures in their turn, target your vehicle, crew your vehicle, the +2/+2 will apply because it doesn't care whether or not it's a non-creature vehicle at the time. So a little bit of weirdness.
Oh, this card art. Oh my
I
God.
know.
Push
I
the
love
limit.
it. These
Yes.
hippos.
Pulling
I
this
know.
chariot is so cute.
Yes.
Oh, it's so cute.
And also very intimidating. If you told me that somebody was going to show up to a race
Yeah.
with 4 hippos strapped to a chariot,
I would
I'd
not
be like,
participate anymore.
I'd be like, I'm going to watch this on television.
Yes. Yeah, I would not
No
spectate
way.
the event from nearby. I would be
Yep.
far away from the event.
When Moo Dang grow up, he will kill.
Yeah. Hippos are very dangerous.
Aren't they like literally the most dangerous? Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Hippos kill the most person per hippo.
Yeah, per hippo. Like, more people die to cows or horses, but that's because we have a lot
we
more
have-
cows
we
and
have
horses.
more.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're like around them
their
more.
kill rate is
Yeah.
number 1.
Yeah, and also because people think they're just like big cuddly things. They weigh
No.
more than your car.
And they hate you.
They hate you. They can move like a car. You think that there's going to be slow trundling things. They can
No,
they can
wrong.
sprint faster than you can. Like,
And again, they hate you.
They
Yeah.
hate you, which
Yep.
is critical in
yep.
this
They
calculation.
defeat predators in their native region by just being bigger and tougher than the
Oh,
predators.
they're so spooky.
Yeah, and their skin is tough enough to stop small arms fire. Like they're
Sick.
very problematic.
They're awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. Hippos are really cool. They're some of the
They're
coolest
very
megafauna
cool,
in the
but
world.
just don't get near one.
Yeah. And if you see a little hippo, if you go to a zoo and you see a tiny baby hippo, they're adorable. Go
Yeah.
do it. Strong suggest. Don't mess with mom hippo.
This
No.
looks like these hippos are close to winning this race, by the way, because look
Yeah.
at the people on the side are like, this is like near the finish line.
Yeah.
Or it could be right away at the beginning.
Sure.
Who knows? So yeah, push the limit. Sorry. Red 5. It's a sorcery. Return all mountain vehicle cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. Vehicles you control become artifact creatures until end of turn. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn.
It's Craterhoof Behemoth.
Sort of.
In a way.
This is so what this does. So first of all, the them referred to in the front isn't all the creatures and vehicles you control. It's just the ones you reanimate.
Right.
And in the second, it does things in sequence. It animates all your vehicles, and then it gives all creatures haste, and those vehicles are now creatures. So it's what this kind of does is it lets you like loot away a bunch of expensive vehicles, cycle away a bunch of expensive vehicles, and then at 7 mana, just like pick up your graveyard, put it onto the battlefield, and kill your opponent.
Wow.
So it's kind of a living death with haste, which is pretty cool.
Spooky.
But the sequence does work out the way that you want it to. This does the things that you
Nice.
want in the order that
At
you want.
7 mana, I hope so.
Yeah. Far Fortune, End Boss. Red-black 2 for a legendary creature human mercenary, and Far Fortune, she is a 4/5. She is Start Your Engines. So as mentioned, it's going to put your speed to 1 if you didn't have speed before. Whatever you attack, Far Fortune deals 1 damage to each opponent. Max Speed. If a source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage plus 1 instead.
Nice.
Far Fortune is super cool. So the whenever you attack is not based on Far Fortune. You can throw away random small fry creatures into your opponent in order to guaranteed get through 1 point of damage, which will then increase your speed, which is very good. Far Fortune basically says your speed is always going to go up on your turn. And once she gets there, she doubles her own damage from that attack trigger, which can count on your opponent very quickly. Do we want to say that this is one of the Commander Arcade commanders?
Oh, yeah,
we mentioned
already did.
Yeah, we mentioned. Oh, yeah, it's already out. I suggest you watch it because Far Fortune deals a lot
Yeah,
of
she
damage.
does.
that I
Deals
was
a
surprised
lot
with.
of damage.
She I was like, all right.
Tyler plays this card, and his speed goes up to 4, like,
Almost immediately.
Almost.
Yeah,
immediately.
he counts the same turn that it comes out because
Yep.
he attacks with some other creature, and then every turn his speed
Yep.
goes up for the remainder of the game. For the next, like, he goes to speed 2, the next turn is 3, and the turn after that is 4.
Yep,
And so
like
he's
right
just
away.
at max speed for the remainder of the game, and every time Far Fortune resolves,
Nice.
your opponents are sad.
I love it.
yes.
The Last Ride. The Last Ride is a single black legendary artifact vehicle. It is a 13/13. The Last Ride gets -X/-X, where X is your life total. Black 2 and pay 2 life, draw a card.
I love this card.
Crew 2. Yeah.
love it.
This is Death Shadow. We all remember Death
Yes.
Shadow.
Yes.
And it is the same as Death Shadow in a lot of ways. If You crew this and you have more than 13 life, it will die before you can do anything with it. You can't respond by targeting it. It's just going to animate and then die. That -6/-6
Bye.
technically applies
That
while
was
it's
the
not
last
a creature.
ride.
Yeah. It doesn't do anything. Well, it's not a creature. So it is still a 13 power creature in the graveyard. It has this ability that applies in all zones that applies in the battlefield. In your graveyard, it's a 13/13 vehicle, right? In your hand, it's a 13/13 vehicle for things that care about if like you have vehicle cards with higher power or toughness. Also, that lets you count down like its greed. It's great. This card is great.
Very cool.
Ketramos, the New Dawn, one of the new gods. Black-white 1 for a legendary creature god. Ketramos is a 4/4. Menace, lifelink, and indestructible.
Sick.
Ketramos can't attack or block unless there are 7 or more cards in exile. Whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from graveyards and or the battlefield during your turn, you draw a card and lose 1 life.
Interesting.
Ketramos is super cool. 7 or more cards in exile. Exile's a shared zone like the battlefield. This is just like if something said if there are 7 creatures on the battlefield. Cares about everybody's exile.
Wow. Do you know I would not, like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But I would never have considered it until you said it.
Right,
Yep,
me too.
Exactly. So, like, if you exile a bunch of your opponent's stuff, you can turn on Ketramos without exiling any of your own stuff.
Sick.
It's probably more consistent to exile your own stuff, but, you get choices.
Yeah.
And this says whenever 1 or more cards are put into exile from graveyards and or the battlefield. So that means if you Swords to Plowshare is a creature, that is from anybody's graveyards or anybody's battlefields. Ketramos does not care about your specific stuff getting exiled. Nice. Cares about cards getting exiled. Swords to Plowshare is your opponent's creature. Draw a card and lose 1 life.
Sure. Into it. Let's go.
If your opponent's Swords to Plowshare is your Ketramos, you will draw a card and gain a life. Because of the nature of the trigger. Because Ketramos' ability applies while it's on the battlefield, and so it has to track its existence from before the zone change. So if they exile Ketramos, great, draw a card and lose a life.
Just like how a ghost tracks its existence from before it got exiled.
Yes.
So true.
Yep. Ghosts know about the past.
Yes, they do.
That's why they have to complete whatever they had to do.
That's why they ghost.
Yeah, if they left the dishes undone, they can't leave until the dishes are done.
So true.
I wish a ghost would come do my dishes. I don't really want my house to be haunted, but I think that's a trade-off I would take.
But what if you do the dishes and Patrick Swayze is there?
No, not enough. I need him to do the dishes. Anyway,
okay.
Was he the ghost in Ghost, or was he not
Yes.
the
Yeah.
ghost?
Oh,
in
he was
Ghost?
the ghost in Ghost.
Okay, just making sure.
Because there's the famous clay scene where he's behind
Right.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, and I
That's
was
because
trying to
he's the
remember
ghost.
if Whoopi was
Yes.
behind him or
what?
if he was
It's not
behind
Whoopi, it's his girlfriend.
Or not? Sorry, it's his girlfriend. Yeah, sorry. Whoopi Goldberg was the
wish.
instructor. My bad. My
That
bad.
would be so much better if it was Whoopi.
I just crossed up the entire movie in my head.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
bad.
yeah. No, it's all good.
I was too busy thinking of Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
What if Whoopi Goldberg was ghosting you from behind while you were doing the dishes?
Okay, yeah.
That'd be fine.
She's alive though, right?
And dressed as Guided.
Oh yeah, then in that case, absolutely.
Hard yes.
Snap it on.
Yes.
Yeah, Snap Guy and Dress.
All right,
Yep.
the Aether Spark.
The Aether Spark. Yeah, the Aether Spark. You talked about it a little last week as well. It's a 4-cost legendary artifact planeswalker equipment. Starts with 4 loyalty. As long as the Aether Spark is attached to a creature, the Aether Spark can't be attacked, and has whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, put that many loyalty counters on the Aether Spark. +1, attach it to up to 1 target creature you control. Put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. -5, draw 2 cards. -10, add 10 mana of any one color. This card is crazy and weird.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
So, like, they have avoided putting other full card types on Planeswalkers in the past because it doesn't behave like the way that you think a lot of the time. Especially Artifact, because you get to animate artifacts a lot. I would recommend against ever animating the Aether Spark. Being both a creature and a Planeswalker gives you the drawbacks of both. Any damage, like if they have just deal 5 damage to target creature and they hit your Aether Spark, it will lose 5 loyalty. If it's a creature and you go to block with it, like say they attack the Aether Spark because it's a creature and it blocks for itself, it will still lose the loyalty.
Wow.
It's not good. It's like
That's
the worst of all possible
also,
worlds.
it blocking for itself is a sentence we just
Yep.
don't
Yeah.
need to part. I don't need to think about it.
And also, if you attack with an animated Aether Spark, but it's still also a Planeswalker, and they block it, it will still lose loyalty.
That's so
It's
weird.
just not good.
That's so
just,
weird.
Just don't
Don't
do this.
make it live.
Yeah, don't make it live. The other thing is that first ability, if you equip it to a creature, it can't be attacked. That's aces. Having your Planeswalkers be unattackable, very good. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage during your turn, this is not to a player. This is combat damage at all.
Sick.
So they block you Aether Spark. You plus it to to connect the Aether Spark up to your Octopus. You attack with the Octopus. The Octopus deals 1 damage to a blocker because you put a +1/+1 counter on it. Great. You get to put a loyalty counter on the Aether Spark. And it's that many loyalty counters, which is why the other abilities seem kind of questionable. It is very easy to get to 10 loyalty on the Aether Spark. Like surprisingly fast. If you,
Again, you can see it during our Commander Arcade
Yeah.
episode where we're
Yes.
like, say what?
Yeah, the Aether Spark immediately cashes out to some large number. It's in
Yes.
double digits instantly just for hitting the battlefield. And so they seem like they're not that swingy of ultimates. You were like, I don't know, add 10 mana of any one color doesn't seem like it wins the game. I don't know. This is kind of omniscience, right? Like cast any number of cards from your hand.
That's very true.
In a lot of circumstances.
yeah.
10 mana is a lot of mana. So like it's I don't know. I think it looks pretty great.
Yeah.
Radiant Lotus. Radiant Lotus is a 6-cost artifact. Tap, sacrifice 1 or more artifacts, choose a color. Target player adds 3 mana of the chosen color for each artifact sacrificed this way. All of your treasures are Black Lotuses now, huh?
Whoa.
This is like because you get to ship in any artifacts. You get to eat all your tokens. You target a player. The reason that you target a player is so that your opponent has the chance to respond in here. So it's not a mana ability. It gets a little weird if it's a mana ability. See Quarkline Ironworks, which has something like this that's a mana ability. So things that care about mana abilities or tapping a permanent for mana, that phrase does not mean what you think it means. If something says whenever you tap a permanent for mana, do something.
This is not tapping
doing
for
that.
mana.
This is an activated ability
Yeah.
that may or may not produce mana because you don't know. It says sacrifice 1 or more artifacts. You could sacrifice 0. So it's possible that it doesn't produce mana at the end, and it targets. So it's not a mana ability. Targeting is the restriction that makes it not a mana ability. Your opponent will know how much mana you're going to get, which is going to be a lot. You can also, in Two-Headed Giant, give this to your team, like give mana to your teammate, which is a little unusual and cool for Radiant
that's
Lotus.
true.
Yeah.
But like, this card's very powerful, and like, the first thing I looked at when I saw it was like, this set makes a lot of treasures, right? Like,
Yeah.
like all my treasures are Black
Nice.
Lotuses now.
Interesting.
You can also,
All
well,
right.
the other reason to do it this way is you can only activate it once per turn, because of the tap.
Yes.
I don't know if you all remember Quarkline Ironworks. That's
Oh,
cards that
how could we
this.
forget?
I looked at this and I said, oh, they redid Quarkline Ironworks to be fair. They fixed all the problems with it. Great. That still makes it very powerful.
Yeah, somebody
right.
still
So-
break it probably. Well, there's a look
Wow.
at all of the tricky cards
Yeah.
from Aetherdrift. This set looks sick
really cool.
for
Yeah,
limited.
I'm looking forward to it. Pre-release next weekend. Well, this weekend now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, the pre-release looked like a blast. I do want to say during one of their segments they opened a pack and then neither Wheeler nor Graham could read the text on Caradora successfully. We all did much better than them on that.
Yay!
Wow.
We did better than loading ready to
There
run
you go.
something. I'll take it.
It looked like it was very fun. There is that Siege Rhino beetle.
Yeah.
It's like a vehicle that like drains your
know.
power for
Siege
3.
beetle.
Yeah.
is a big poop beetle.
Yeah, it's a giant beetle. It's like a 6/6
For a
vehicle.
lot of reasons.
Yeah, it's a
a
4-cost
poop
6/6 vehicle
beetle.
that drains your opponent for 3 when it ETBs.
Oh yeah.
It's very
Siege
good.
beetle.
I think that everybody had it. It was very funny. But the set has a bunch of cool stuff in it. It's got a lot of vanillas. It's got actually a lot of simpler creatures. The core mechanics are simple. This is kind of what I want out of a Magic set. It just looks good. It does interesting things. And it pushes in interesting ways. Like 7 6s for 5 that are legendary are just fine. Like that. I don't think that's an unreasonable card to exist.
It's the debris beetle.
Debris beetle.
Debris
yeah.
beetle. Debreedle, if you will.
Yep. So
All right.
Well, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Rob.
welcome.
speaking of the Debreedle,
Yes.
we have to talk about Cutest and Grossest card.
We sure do.
I did consider the Debreedle actually for Grossest card because I don't like giant ball of poop. That's just me. That's one kind of gross that we don't get a lot in Magic, and I
that's
wanted
true.
to consider it.
That's true.
But at the end of the day, there's actually a card that's really gross in me art. Gross in me art. Grossing me out. Grossing me art. Anyways,
That's really crossing me art.
I have to talk about Brood Heart Engine. I don't like it. It looked gross. It's like a heart. It's like a gross heart thing.
Oh, it's a heart is the engine.
It's a heart that's in a mechanical thing, but the heart looks gross. The mechanism looks gross. The heart has like metal tubes in it. I don't like it.
I bet
am
it's a
grossed out by
spider
this
heart.
heart in this thing.
I
It's
mean-
the wrong combination for me of organic and inorganic.
Yeah, I think so. It says the only honor greater than piloting a speed brood vehicle is becoming one yourself. I think this is this isn't an Aether heart. This is one of the people that drive the insects got their heart cut out and is being used to pump fluids.
Exactly.
Wow.
Now it is one.
Like it's just like that. My favorite episode of Doctor Who, the girl in the fireplace. There's a human heart used as a pump there too.
Yes.
It's also very disgusting and very horrifying.
Exactly.
Like
So,
he
like-
looks at it and sees it, and you're like, oh, that's not good. That's quite bad, actually.
And this the art of this heart is very gross. This is a gross heart. If your heart looks like this, talk to your doctor. It shouldn't be this shape. Shouldn't be this bulgy, and it shouldn't have this weird neon green fluid around in it.
The neon green fluid is probably magic stuff
Okay,
to keep the heart alive. But like, who says this is a human heart? This could be a
I don't think
hippopotamus
so.
heart.
That's why
I
I'm
think it's a
saying
spider heart.
either way.
Oh, it could be spiders don't have hearts.
What?
They don't have a circulatory system.
I didn't know this.
You know what? I never thought about it. You're right.
Yeah.
What? Sorry, what does the inside of a spider look like?
It depends on the type of spider, but they like so we have a dedicated set of tubes that carry fluids around in us. The spiders don't
Yes.
have
What a
that.
way to put it.
They have
They just have free floating goop. Do they have tubes in them? Do spiders have tubes?
Wow.
They
Okay,
don't
look,
have-
here's a
yeah.
diagram.
Yeah. They have they're pumping. Yeah, it's done by their breathing system, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, it depends on the
I don't
spider.
like
This one
this.
has heart and blood vessels. This
Yeah.
is a sideline, but like a lot of insects just don't have a dedicated circulatory system. They're too small.
Can you imagine not having a heart and walking around?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't work for you.
Yeah, it wouldn't work for us. The square cube law makes it really hard for us to just pass things around really easily via like book lung pressure or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
All right.
Crazy.
So that's that heart
Okay.
Yep.
grossest card. Maria, what
Yes.
about cutest card though?
Well, I have to say, this set is one of the cutest sets. I mean, it's up there with Bloomborough, quite honestly. Lots of cuteness going around. I'm going to give it a lot of runners up, and then there's, of course,
there's
obvious
the obvious
winner.
clear winner,
Yeah.
right?
Guidelight Synergist gets a runner-up trophy, which is a cute little robot that goes around botting in this raceway. And this is the one where he's happiest. In other ones, he looks like he's been smashed and is sad. This one, he's like, wee, here I go. What a cutie. He's just a little ball. He's also my arena pet and is fairly annoying. I would also like to give a runner-up medal to River Churn Monument, which is a big frog dam situation.
Yeah.
It's a big
like
damn
a frog
frog.
fountain.
Yeah, frog fountain. Very cute.
Yeah.
Very cute.
Good
Because it's
job.
just a big sculpture of the frog mommy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is it her?
Yeah.
It's just her head.
Yeah, it's just her. Well, because I mean, if your god's a giant frog, you just make everything look like frogs, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably true. Up next, we have Scrounging Skyray, which is a little fish pirate stingray
Yeah.
going through the air, looking pretty cute and mad. There he goes.
He's very cute.
That
very,
guy's
very
very
cute.
cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a little award to District Mascot, which is the corgi of the set.
Yep.
Oh yeah, so cute.
Great hat on
Yeah.
this dog. And I'm going to mention him as well as another card that some people might have called out, but I'm going to say is a bad example of a cute card because it has been pushed. So this one gets no award, and that is Bestow Greatness.
Mega
Wow.
corgi. Mega corgi is not acceptable to you?
Mega Corgi is not acceptable. Classic pushed. It's the same reason Loot is not on this list. Xing out of that tab.
I don't even think Lute's cute. Like his face,
Lute's not cute.
His mouth is the width of his whole face. It looks
Yeah,
like
that
he
is
could
horrifying.
unhinge.
Just John
Right, like-
swallow you.
Lute is part snake and could swallow you whole.
Is he part snake?
I don't know. He is he thing. He just is.
He just is a loot.
He just is.
Push the limit. We'll add to this list with our little hippopotamus chariot. It's very cute.
Yes. Oh, so
Yeah.
cute.
But of course, the clear winner for this set wins Cutest card and also jumps into the lead for Cutest card of all time, Brightfield Glider. Congratulations.
Yep, obviously.
This is our possum mount flying squirrel of the set. And what the most adorable. I saw this, I screamed. I was in my house and I screamed to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with this card. I love squirrels, and I especially love squirrels that can fly. And
Although
the
I just want to point out, not a squirrel.
sugar glider.
Is a
Sugar
possum.
glider.
Yeah, it is a possum.
It's a sugar glider, but he looked kind of like
Yeah.
a flying squirrel, I gotta say.
No,
'cause
he
you
really
can't really
does.
see his back stripe.
He is
so-
a lot more like a flying squirrel than other sugar gliders in the
Yeah,
past.
agree.
Would you cosplay as a Brightfield glider?
In 1 second, I think did I say this story on? Oh, I said it in the producer segment. I think last time I do have a flying squirrel costume.
Unsurprising
Yeah.
to everyone, I think.
I'm like, this was kind of a setup. I'm gonna.
Rob knew the answer already, and yeah, I do own one. It's at my parents' house. Is it still there? Maybe I should go find out.
repurpose it.
Yeah,
Wear it to a Magicana if you didn't have to work.
it is pink though, so it's not exactly the right color. Well, thank you for listening to this episode, friends.
Wow. What a time it was.
What a journey it was. Rob's gone again from this chair.
Yeah.
Where he once was, and now is no longer.
Oh, no.
It's okay.
Rob.
He just went home.
Oh, okay. Normal. Never mind.
He just left.
It was normal when what happened was normal.
Yeah. We hope you have so much fun at your pre-release this weekend, buddies. It's going to be a great time. Love playing some lightly competitive limited.
Yes. Have such a good time. You're always free to post at us on Blue Sky with
Yes.
photos of your draft pool. If you're in the Discord, if you're a patron, great time to become one. You can share about your draft pool or your sealed pool.
We'd love to see 'em.
in the Discord so we can get our eyes on it.
We're at GLHF Magic on Blue Sky, by the
Yeah.
way. If you haven't followed us over there yet in the new good place, be our friend. So next week we'll go through a recap of our pre-release experience, and we're very excited to share that with you as well. Everyone cross your fingies that I opened 6 mythic rares.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to find the worst. Hold on. I'm going to look at
The
the
worst mythic rare to
in the
open in
set.
this set. That's what I'm going to get 6 of. Oh, man. I bet people miss our top 10 worst rares video.
Oh, yeah. We should do
We
that
should
again
do
at
those
some
again.
point.
We're ideating live on the air for you all right here, right now.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, what's the worst possible card that I could open in Mythic Rare at the Aetherdrift pre-release? Drum roll,
Let's
please. Set Aetherdrift. Card bad. Rarity Mythic Rare. Did you
Card
know
bad.
there's a new Scryfall? There's a new Scryfall, like what's it called that you can put in? Filter, and you just
this
sort
is called bad?
It's just bad.
Maria's lying. That's not a thing.
I gotta tell you, these cards all look good.
I know they do all look. I'm like looking
don't
pretty
think-
hard. So
I don't know if there's a bad card here.
okay, what if you opened a bunch of Radiant Lotuses? That would be a bad one.
I suppose that's true. What am I gonna do with that?
Yep. Okay, Radiant Lotus.
Or I could open a lot of Curse Cloth Wrappings, which is that zombie lord, but I
Oh,
don't have
yeah.
any zombies.
That could be it. Although I think it gives you
It
can
does
embalm
make
stuff out
embalm,
of
so
your.
like who cares?
Yeah.
I mean, I probably still maybe I don't know if I'd play that. Maybe I'll play one if I was in black, but. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm about to get so many Radiant Lotuses. So if you're looking for trades, hit me up.